What if I told you there's a strategy so powerful, so psychologically transformative, that no contact looks weak in comparison? Because no contact ... still leaves hope. It leaves you waiting, watching, wondering if they'll ever come back. But this is different. This isn't silence. It's evolution. A shift so complete that they don't miss you because you disappeared. They regret ever letting you go in the first place. Not because you played games. Not because you waited by your phone, hoping. But because you became someone so grounded, so untouchable, so deeply in control of their own life that by the time they look back, you're no longer even looking in their direction. This is not about revenge. This is not about making someone else feel pain. This is about power, the kind that comes from mastering your own mind, your own worth. And it starts with a story. The story of a man who, like so many, was broken by heartbreak. He didn't see it coming. One day, she was his world. The late-night conversations, the inside jokes, the connection that made him believe this was it, real, unbreakable. And then she was gone. No closure, no explanation. Just a sudden shift from everything to nothing. He stared at that final message, reading it over and over, trying to make sense of something that never would. The silence that followed wasn't peace, it was torment. Every song reminded him of her. Every room felt colder. Every moment without her felt like it stretched forever. And the worst part, she moved on quickly as if he had been a chapter she skipped, not even worth rereading. Meanwhile, he couldn't stop replaying everything, wondering what he did wrong. Was he too available to soft? Not enough. He was drowning in questions that had no answers, losing sleep over a past he couldn't change. And then the advice started pouring in. Go no contact, disappear, let her feel the silence. And he tried. He really did. He deleted her number, stopped checking her social media, forced himself to not reach out no matter how much it hurt. Every time his fingers hovered over the keyboard, he'd pull back and remind himself, be strong. But here's the truth, no one told him. Even in silence, he was still a prisoner, because his thoughts still revolved around her. He wasn't speaking to her, but he was still giving her space in his mind every single day. Still waiting, still hoping, still lost until one day it hit him. No contact wasn't the cure, it was a bandage. And bandages don't heal wounds that run deep, because real healing, real power, only comes when your happiness is no longer tied to someone else's presence or absence. When your self-worth isn't held hostage by another person's choices. So, he stopped waiting, he stopped obsessing, and he started building. He focused on his body, his mind, his mission. He read, he trained, he worked. He became someone he admired, not to impress her, not to win her back, but because he finally understood, you don't rise for them, you rise for you. And in that moment everything changed. Because when they looked back, they didn't see the same man they left. They saw someone they couldn't reach anymore. Not out of cruelty, but because he had outgrown the pain they left him in. And when you reach that level, they don't just miss you, they regret losing you. So, if you're ready to stop suffering and start leveling up, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And drop a comment below. I control my destiny. Let's begin. What if I told you there's a strategy so powerful, so psychologically transformative, that no contact looks weak in comparison? Because no contact still leaves hope. It leaves you waiting, watching, wondering if they'll ever come back. But this isn't silence, it's evolution. A shift so complete they don't miss you because you disappeared. They regret ever letting you go in the first place. Not because you played games or waited by your phone hoping, but because you became someone so grounded, so untouchable, so in control of your life, that by the time they look back, you're no longer even looking in their direction. This isn't about revenge. It's not about making them feel pain. It's about power, the kind that comes from mastering yourself. And it starts with a story. The story of a man who was broken by heartbreak. He didn't see it coming. One day she was his world, the late night conversations, the inside jokes, the connection that felt real, unbreakable. And then she was gone. No closure, no explanation, just silence. He stared at that final message, reading it over and over, trying to make sense of something that never would. The silence that followed wasn't peace, it was torture. Every song, it reminded him of her. Every room felt empty. Every second without her stretched endlessly. And the worst part, she moved on, quickly as Ellie, as if he had never mattered at all. Meanwhile, he replayed every moment, trying to figure out what he did wrong. Was he too available, too soft, not enough? He lost sleep over questions with no answers. Then the advice came in, go no contact, disappear, let her feel the absence. So he tried. Deleted her number, stopped checking her socials, Every time he wanted to reach out, he stopped himself. He thought he was being strong, but deep down he was still waiting, still hoping, still thinking about her every day. He wasn't talking to her, but she still had space in his mind. And that's when he realized no contact wasn't the cure. It was just a bandit, because as long as his happiness depended on her return, as long as he needed her to feel whole, he was still weak, and weakness is never attractive. She didn't respect him when he was broken, and she certainly wouldn't respect him for sitting around, hoping for a reunion. He was playing a game he had already lost, and that's when everything changed. Like this video, subscribe, and comment below. I master my emotions. Number 2. The truth about no contact. Why? It's not enough. No contact is the go-to advice when you've been dumped, ghosted, or replaced. Just ignore her, they say. She'd come back when she realizes what she lost. It sounds perfect. A silent war, a battle of patience. You cut her off, you disappear, you wait. You imagine the moment she checks her phone, sees nothing from you, and panics. You tell yourself she's wondering, missing you, stalking your stories. But here's the truth: most of the time, she's not. Not in the way you want. Because no contact only works if you genuinely move on. And most men don't. They use no contact like a trick, not a transformation. They're not healing, they're waiting. And waiting is still weakness. As long as you're hoping, she still owns you. Women sense this. They feel it when a man is pretending to be strong, playing the role, but still emotionally tied. Even in silence, they know. And when she senses it, she doesn't miss you, she moves on. Maybe she checks in after a while, just to see if you're still there, just to feel that power. And if you respond too quickly, too eagerly, she knows. You never left, you never let go. And that's when she walks away again, confident, validated, knowing she made the right choice. That tiny bit of attention, it feels like hope, but it's not a second chance, it's a test. And when you fail, she sees you were never truly detached. So what's the answer? If no contact isn't enough, what is? It's becoming a man she can never reach again. Not just through silence, but through total emotional detachment. Because the only time she truly feels the loss is when she knows you no longer care. Not pretending, not performing. Actually gone. And when she reaches out tan one day, you won't even flinch. You won't feel anything. Not out of spite, but because you've evolved beyond needing her validation. Like this video, subscribe, and comment below. I need no one, I choose myself. Number 3. The power of indifference beyond no contact. At first he thought silence would be enough, that if he waited long enough, she'd realize what she lost. But as time passed, he saw the truth: no contact wasn't working because he was still hoping, still letting her live rent-free in his head, and as long as he cared, he was still weak. So he made a decision: no more waiting, no more hoping, no more pretending. It was time for something stronger. Indifference, not ignoring her, moving her from the equation entirely. She no longer mattered. Her thoughts, her feelings, her regret. He didn't just cut contact, he erased her from his world. No checking her social media, no wondering who she was with, no leaving the door open for her return. Because here's the truth: no contact is silence. Indifference is power. Silence still means you care. Indifference means you don't. And in that moment, when you no longer care, not out of bitterness, but because you've outgrown that old version of yourself, she will feel it. And when she does, it will be too late. That's what makes people panic. That's what makes them question everything. When someone who once adored you now sees you as just another person, someone they could pass on the street without a second thought, that's when they feel the true weight of loss. And that's exactly what happened. At first, she didn't notice. She assumed he was just playing the same game as every other guy, waiting, suffering in silence, hoping she'd come back. But then something changed. His absence wasn't temporary, it was real. His energy was different. He wasn't avoiding her, he had outgrown her. And that's when the shift happened. One day she checked his social media, expecting to see the same man she left behind. But instead, she saw someone unrecognizable. He wasn't sulking, he wasn't posting sad quotes or playing games to get her attention. He was living, thriving, unbothered. He looked better, more confident, stronger, and worst of all, she was no longer a part of his story. That's when the regret started creeping in. Why isn't he broken? Why isn't he trying to get me back? Did I make a mistake? Suddenly, she wasn't so sure anymore. Because if a man can move on without hesitation, if he can completely detach, it forces people to question their own worth. She had assumed he would always be there, that she could return whenever she wanted. But now she wasn't so sure. And that's the secret. Indifference is stronger than silence. It's stronger than absence. because people don't crave what they can ignore, they crave what they can't control. When you reach this level of detachment, you don't need to block, you don't need to announce your departure. You just become someone they can never reach again. Like this video, subscribe, and comment below. I am untouchable. Number 4. The dark side of attraction. Why they always come back. She thought she had won when she walked away. She assumed he'd crumble, that he'd drown in regret, that he'd be there waiting for the day she got bored and decided to revisit the past. It's what most men do. They beg, they plead, they try to prove their worth as if love is something that can be negotiated. But he did something different. He disappeared, not just from her life but from her mind. At first she didn't notice. She was too busy enjoying her newfound freedom, chasing new experiences, maybe even entertaining other men. In her mind he was still there, tucked away in the background, silently suffering. But as time passed, something began to feel off. Where was he? Why wasn't he watching her stories? Why wasn't he waiting like every other man? And that's when the panic set in. See, human nature is predictable. People don't value what they can have, they value what they fear losing forever. And when she saw that he wasn't just ignoring her, he had moved on completely, it triggered something deep inside her. Doubt, uncertainty, curiosity. The same man who once adored her, who would have done anything for her, had now become a mystery. And nothing is more attractive than a man who is untouchable. This is the dark side of attraction, the painful, brutal truth about human psychology. People are drawn to what they cannot control. They crave what is scarce. And the moment you remove yourself, truly remove yourself from their world, you create a void they can't ignore. That's why they always come back, not because they miss you, not because they suddenly realize your worth, but because they hate the idea that you don't need them anymore. And so the game shifts. She starts checking his social media more often, looking for signs that he still cares. Maybe she throws out a small test, likes an old photo, sends a "hope you're doing well" text, or even tries to act as if nothing happened. It's not a genuine attempt to rekindle things, it's a power move. She wants to see if she still has an effect on him. If he reacts, she wins. If he ignores her, she spirals. This is where most men fail. They mistake her curiosity for true regret. They think, this is it. She's realizing what she lost. And the moment they show interest again, the moment they react, she loses that fear of loss and walks away all over again. The cycle repeats, but not him. Not this time. Because he understands now, he is the prize. He doesn't need to prove his value. He embodies it. And when she finally reaches out, expecting to find the same man she left behind, she finds someone different, someone colder, someone who sees her not as his future, but as a lesson from his past. And that's when the regret hits her in full force, not because she lost him, but because he no longer cares. Like this video, subscribe, and comment below. I am the prize. Number 5. The Stoic transformation, turning pain into power. The old him would have chased. He would have taken any breadcrumb of attention as a sign of hope. He would have overanalyzed her every move, every text, every slight interaction, desperately trying to decode whether she still cared. But that man, he no longer exists, because this time he's not just moving on, he's transforming. Not to get her back, not to impress her, but for himself. Pain is a powerful thing. For most men it becomes a prison, a cycle of regret, self-doubt, and endless suffering. But for the rare few, the ones who understand the power of Stoicism, pain becomes something else. Fuel, a weapon, a catalyst for rebirth. The difference between the weak and the powerful is simple. The weak let pain define them. The powerful use it to evolve. And that's exactly what he did. Instead of running from the pain, he embraced it, he sat with it, he let it sharpen him. Every moment of heartbreak became a lesson. Every ounce of suffering became motivation. He stopped wasting time dwelling on the past and started channeling his energy into one thing, becoming unbreakable. He started with his mind. Emotional control became his foundation. He studied Stoicism, training himself to master his emotions instead of being controlled by them. He learned the ancient philosophy that had shaped warriors and emperors for centuries. The art of detachment, of focusing only on what he could control, and of accepting reality without resistance. Where before he was reactive, now he was calm, unshaken, untouchable. Then came his body. A warrior's mind must be matched by a warrior's body. He took all the energy he used to waste on heartbreak and poured it into self-discipline. The gym became his battlefield. Every rep, every set, every drop of sweat was a silent promise to himself. I will never be weak again. His physique changed, his posture changed, the way he walked into a room changed, and people noticed. But the most important transformation, his presence. He no longer needed validation, he no longer needed attention, and because he needed nothing, he attracted everything. The same people who once overlooked him were now drawn to him. The same woman who thought she could replace him now watched from a distance, wondering what she had lost. This is the essence of true power. Not seeking revenge, not chasing validation, but becoming so undeniably valuable that the past becomes irrelevant. He didn't just move on, he leveled up, so far beyond her reach that she became a mere footnote in his journey. Because in the end, the ultimate victory isn't making them regret losing you, it's becoming someone they could never have again. Like this video, subscribe, and comment below. Pain makes me stronger. Number 6. The silent domination. Winning without words. The old him would have felt the need to prove something to show her and the world that he was doing better without her. He would have posted cryptic quotes, flaunted his progress, and hoped she'd see it. But the man he has become, he doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. His success speaks for itself. This is the art of silent domination. No words, no explanations, no announcements, just action. While others waste time trying to make their ex notice them, he focuses on one thing, elevating his life. He understands a simple but powerful truth. The most dangerous man in the room is the one who says the least but accomplishes the most. He doesn't block her. He doesn't delete old pictures out of anger. He doesn't play childish games to get a reaction. He simply removes his energy. And that's what disturbs her the most. Not his absence, but the fact that it feels like he was never even there. No closure. No lingering emotions. Just nothing. At first, she brushes it off. She tells herself he's just pretending that he's doing it to get under her skin. But as time passes, she starts to wonder, why isn't he watching my stories? Why doesn't he care? Did I misjudge him? She expects bitterness, resentment, desperate attempts to get her attention, but she gets nothing. Indifference, silence, absence. And this is where the mind games begin. Because when someone who once loved you suddenly no longer acknowledges your existence, it forces you to reflect. She starts remembering things she once ignored, the way he made her feel, the way he treated her, the way he was always there, until he wasn't. Her curiosity grows. She casually brings up his name in conversations. She scrolls through his social media looking for signs that he still cares. But what she finds is worse than she expected. He's not just surviving, he's thriving. He looks better. He seems happier. And worst of all, he's not looking back. This is the moment when regret creeps in. The realization that while she was busy entertaining distractions, he was evolving into the man she always wanted but now can never have. This is why winning without words is the most powerful victory. Because it doesn't come from trying to convince her of anything, it comes from becoming undeniable. By now he understands the secret energy speaks louder than words. He doesn't need to post about how much he's changed. People can feel it. His presence, his demeanor, his success, it all speaks for him. And when the moment comes when she finally reaches out hoping to get a glimpse of the man she once knew, she'll find that he's long gone. Because the ultimate power move isn't proving them wrong, it's making them realize they were never even a factor in your success. Like this video, subscribe, and comment below. I let my actions speak. At number 7, the social shift, creating an aura of mystery. At first he thought complete disappearance was the answer, that if he just vanished, she'd be left wondering, missing him, regretting everything. But then he realized something even more powerful: mystery. Because complete absence, that's easy to explain. She'd assume he was bitter, still hurt, still avoiding her out of weakness. But a man who is present but unreadable, that's the one who haunts the mind. He didn't block her. He didn't go on an attention. He used to be an open book, predictable and easy to read. But now he became a puzzle she couldn't solve. No sad quotes, no indirect messages, no desperate attempts to get noticed, just a selective, intentional presence. A glimpse here, a moment there. Enough to spark curiosity, but never enough to understand what he was thinking. This is the art of the social shift. You don't disappear, you evolve in plain sight. You move silently but leave clues: a photo hinting at a life she was never part of. A brief story showing you're doing better, but with zero context. No captions begging for attention. No unnecessary explanations, just confidence, presence, power. And that's what starts to eat at her. Because when a man changes, women instinctively want to know why. Is he seeing someone else? Has he outgrown me? Was he always this strong and I just never noticed? She checks his social media more often, waiting for a sign, anything to confirm what she's feeling. But she gets nothing. No emotional outbursts, no bitterness, it's just a man clearly thriving. The more she tries to figure him out, the more frustrated she becomes. She thought she had him figured out, knew exactly how he felt, believed he would always be the one who cared more. But now he feels like a stranger, a mystery, and mystery is attraction. Here's the truth. People don't obsess over what they understand, they obsess over what confuses them. They're drawn to what they can't fully grasp. The moment you become unpredictable, unreadable, untouchable, that's when they can't stop thinking about you. Yet, the true power move. You don't do this to lure her back. You do it because you've outgrown the need to explain yourself. Your life is yours, and she no longer has access not by force, but by choice. That's what makes her regret everything. And then comes the ultimate test. Eventually, she reaches out. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but she will. A simple "Hey, how have you been?" or a casual reaction to a post. Maybe she brings up an old memory, trying to see if it still holds weight. Sometimes it's as small as liking a picture or viewing a story just to remind you she still exists. But make no mistake, this isn't an accident, it's a test. Most men fail here. The moment she sends that message, emotions take over. Their hearts race, their minds flood with memories. They forget everything they told themselves. This is my chance, they think. She finally realized what she lost. Before they know it, they respond too quickly, too eagerly. They try to play it cool, but the excitement bleeds through, and just like that, she knows she still has power over them. But this man, he's different. He has spent too much time building himself up to crumble at the first sign of attention. He understands what's really happening. She's not coming back because she truly misses him. She's coming back to check if he's still an option, if he reacts, if he gives her the validation she's seeking. She wins and the cycle repeats. That's why he doesn't take the bait. He doesn't ignore her out of pettiness. He ignores her because she is no longer relevant. And that, more than anything, destroys her. She was expecting a reaction, a response, some sign he was still affected. Instead, there's nothing. And if he does respond, it's brief, polite, distant, uninterested. How have you been? Good. No details. No openings for more conversation. No sign he's been waiting for this moment. The energy is different. She can feel it. Where there was once longing, now there is only indifference. And that makes her panic. For the first time, she's the one wondering, does he still think about me? Does he have someone else? Was I wrong to leave? She thought. She had the upper hand, but now she's the one feeling rejected. The harder she tries to figure him out, the more powerless she feels. This is the ultimate test. The ones who pass it never go back. Because once you've mastered yourself, once you've outgrown the need for validation, you realize something powerful. The past has nothing left for you. Then comes the final shift, becoming truly unbreakable. There's a moment in every man's journey when he realizes he's free. Not because she finally reached out, not because he won the breakup, but because for the first time she doesn't matter anymore. Her name doesn't trigger emotions, her memory doesn't haunt him. He no longer feels the need to prove anything to her or to himself. He is unbreakable. This is the moment when pain stops being a burden and becomes just a distant lesson. When he wakes up and realizes he no longer cares whether she regrets losing him, whether she thinks about him, whether she sees his success because he's too busy living. And that, more than anything, destroys her. Not the silence, not the indifference, but the realization that she no longer has any effect on him. She thought she could come back, that the door would always be open, that he would always hold a piece of her in his heart. But when she finally looks back, she finds nothing, no trace of the man she once knew, only a man who has evolved so far beyond her reach. She becomes a distant memory, irrelevant. This is where most people fail. They think moving on is about replacing someone, about proving a point, about revenge. But true power isn't found in seeking validation, it's found in no longer needing it. He doesn't move on to make her jealous. He doesn't grow to make her regret. He becomes unbreakable because that's who he was meant to be all along. And once he reaches this stage, something incredible happens. The past loses all meaning. He doesn't look back because there's nothing worth looking at. He doesn't question whether she misses him because it doesn't matter. He has stepped into a new reality, one where he is the master of his own fate. This is what real strength looks like. Not chasing, not proving, just existing in a way that commands respect without saying a word. He's no longer a victim of heartbreak. He is a force of nature, a man who has risen from the ashes, stronger than ever. And the best part, the story isn't about her anymore. It never was. Number 10. The new reality, a life on his terms. This is at the final stage, the moment when he steps fully into the life he was always meant to live. A life on his terms, no longer shaped by heartbreak, no longer haunted by the past, no longer waiting for someone to realize his worth because he knows it himself. He no longer wonders what could have been. He no longer cares. He doesn't care who she's with. He doesn't care if she regrets it. He doesn't care if she stalks his profile, hoping to get a glimpse of the man she once knew, because that man no longer exists. What exists now is something greater, a man who has built himself from the ground up, a man who has mastered his emotions, sharpened his mind, and hardened his spirit, a man who walks into every room with quiet confidence, knowing he no longer needs anything from anyone. The validation he once craved, irrelevant. The attention he once sought, meaningless. He doesn't need to be seen, his presence is felt, and this is the part she never saw coming. She thought he would always hold space for her, always keep the door open just a little. She thought she could return one day and find him exactly where she left him. But when she finally looks back, he's gone, not in the physical sense, not in the petty, I'll block you to prove a point way. He's gone because he outgrew her. That's the true power move, not revenge, not bitterness, just indifference. He doesn't look back because the past has nothing left to offer him. He doesn't need closure because his success is his closure, the life he's created, the man he's become. That is the final chapter, not a conversation, not an explanation, just becoming so untouchable that the past becomes meaningless. And that's what really breaks her, not that he moved on, not that he's doing better, but that she no longer exists in his world. She is nothing more than a lesson he once learned, and while she's stuck in the past questioning everything, he's thriving in a reality she will never be part of again, because in the end, the strongest man is not the one who gets her back. It's the one who becomes so powerful he never even considers it. If you made it this far, you're already ahead of most, because most men never reach this stage. They stay stuck in the cycle, waiting, hoping, suffering, but you've already taken the first step toward becoming something greater now. It's time to finish what you started. Build yourself, master your emotions, keep moving forward, because once you become unshakable, once you become truly free, life stops being about proving anything to anyone and starts being about living on your own terms. So if you're ready to keep evolving, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and comment below one final time. I control my destiny, because from this point forward, no one else does.